Oh my gosh, it's time for another Doom Eternal video. And because everybody loved my last Doom Eternal video,
I get opinions are different for everyone, but this retard knows nothing of Doom. He nitpicks at the stupid crap without knowing anything of Doom's core and heritage. So it wouldn't surprise me if he calls Eternal a boring lame retread of sequels.
I think that everyone's going to enjoy this one just as much. Just a disclaimer before we start, I do not work for id. I have not played Doom Eternal. This is all just information I found scavenging the internet, some personal opinions, and any of this stuff, though it might have been shown in a trailer, could be changed when the final game comes out, so this is not official, but since we're pretty close to the release, it's a pretty good guess. Anyways, I've broken this video up into a couple sections. First, returning demons, then classic demons, then new demons, and then unnamed enemies, and then possible returning enemies. And I'll put the time codes for all of these in the description if you want to skip ahead. So alright, let's start out with the returning demons. So the Imp, obviously they're going to be in the game. It looks like they're going to function the same way. The only real difference is they've got bigger spikes. The Possessed, they're also back, but this time they look less like mutants and more like generic zombies. It also looks like they have little like tattoos of pentagrams on their foreheads. The Unwilling are also set to return, which are like the hell version of zombies. Pinky will be back, and hopefully he'll be able to show up a little earlier in the game. Based off this picture, it looks like there's a zombie security. It could just be a normal zombie with a riot shield. The Lost Souls are back. I don't know if they will function the same way, but they will be in it. And apparently the Hellraisers are back, at least that's what the Doom Wiki says. The Revenant, he's back, and this time he's got a beefier looking jetpack that's also a lot more brighter and silver looking to make him look more like his Doom 2 classic counterpart. The Prowlers, which if you didn't know they were a multiplayer exclusive demon in Doom 2016, they will now be appearing in single player. And it also looks like they will have a teleportation ability, kind of like the Wraiths did in Doom 3. The Mancubus, he's back, and this time he's getting a lot of attention. His design is much more closely, when I say much more closely, I mean almost exactly the same as the Doom 2 design, so he just kind of looks like a big fat guy. The Hell Knight, he's back. It looks like he has the same attacks and such. I think his skin color has been altered slightly. It looks like he's got a more like shiny skin, with kind of like a bluish tint to it, as opposed to the dark gray. Caco demons are back. The only difference I've been able to tell with these is that they've got blue blood instead of red blood, just like they had the blue blood in the original. Pretty cool. The Barons of Hell are back, but this time they're going to be sword-wielding fire monsters. I'm not convinced that all the Barons in the game will look and function like this. I expect that we'll probably see like different variations of Barons, kind of like how there was the different variations in Doom 2, because I don't see why they would want to make the Baron into a melee-only enemy, as I felt like the Barons were one of the best enemies in Doom 2016. The Cyber Demon, this was the big surprise at the end of E3's gameplay footage. He's back, and this time he looks almost identical to the classic version. The only major difference he has is that he still has the 2016 version of the rocket launcher. I'm not sure how he will function in the game, as I doubt they will just retread the boss battle from the last game. I'm hoping he becomes more of like a regular enemy like he was in the expansions for Doom and Doom 2, kind of like a bunch of little mini bosses. But it's still entirely possible that he will just be, you know, a normal boss. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some returning classic monsters. So, the Arachnotrons are back, and it looks like they have more of like a scorpion appearance. Looks like they're just going to have a normal plasma gun that can also be shot off. They also can perform some sort of a melee attack and climb on walls. The Pain Elementals are back, and apparently they can throw fireballs and also shoot Lost Souls out of their mouth as an attack, as opposed to just being able to spawn Lost Souls like they did in Doom 2. Zombie Man is back. This time he looks almost exactly like he did in the original, complete with the green hair. I never really got why they had the green hair. The Archvile is going to return. Now, if you've played any of Doom 2, you should know how terrifying this is. The Archviles have the ability to like do this weird attack where they summon fire, and it will seriously mess you up. Also, they have like a ton of health, and they can resurrect dead enemies. They are like the perfect monster to fight. A lot of people are suspecting he's going to replace the Summoner, which, I mean, I'd be totally fine with. But there's also, I think, a possibility that he might be a boss character. I can get to that later. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun to fight, and I'm really glad that he's back. Okay, now we can start talking about the new demon types. So the Gargoyle, this new demon is pretty much just going to be a flying imp from what I've told. Looks like in the footage they're a pretty minor enemy, about the same as like a zombie or an imp. but these ones can fly, and they shoot green fireballs at you. The cyber zombie is, well, about what he sounds like. I mean, he's a zombie with a gun on him. Kind of reminiscent of that dude on the box art of the original Doom that, never showed up in the game. I'm not sure if these next two enemies are just variants of the cyber zombie, or if they're considered totally separate monsters. But the carcass, I mean, he's a zombie, but he's got robot spider legs. Kind of like that weird Darth Maul that showed up in the Clone Wars. And then Whiplash, where he's a zombie with a cyber whip. So, I mean, I really don't have too much to say about these guys. Okay, now we can talk about some interesting stuff. Okay, so the Marauder. So he pretty much looks like a zombified Doom guy, and he wields both a super shotgun and a laser axe. The laser axe appears to be made out of the same, like, whatever thing that the Doom guy's new lightsaber is made out of, because they both got, like, the same weird writing and stuff on them. I believe that he's also the first demon to ever use a super shotgun in one of the official games. Personally, I think he's going to be a lot of fun to fight. I also assume that he's going to play probably a bigger role in the story, though I'm not sure how. The Doom Hunter will for sure be a boss, though. We've only seen, like, concept art of him, and he showed up in one of the posters, but apparently he's supposed to be the Doom guy's arch nemesis, whatever that means. I assume he's going to play a pretty large role in the story, though I can't be sure, because, I mean, it's Doom. Having the story is kind of a new thing for it. As you can see, he has two chainsaws in one hand and, like, a rocket launcher in the other. He also has, like, two, like, laser guns on his glider. His design is very similar to the boss from Doom 3 called the Sabaoth. I have a theory that it could be Samuel Hayden, like he just puts his robot AI into like this new demon body, and that would also make sense why he's the Doom guy's arch enemy, because Samuel Hayden's the only guy to screw over the Doom guy and get away with it. Okay, so this section is going to be probably the most like crazy out of all of them, because these are all enemies that we've seen from like both gameplay and posters and stuff, but they don't have names. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of these characters aren't even actual enemies in the game. You'll see as we go on. But the first one we have, we call this guy the Hell Tentacle. I mean, we've seen in a lot of the posters, there's these big like tentacles coming out of the ground. And also, we've seen some gameplay of the Doom guy shooting it, so I don't know how that's going to function. Also, we got a Snake Man. Now, he might be like a variant of the Carcass or the Cyber Zombie, but he's half snake, half robot, and he's got, like these weird knives. Alright, the big dude. This guy was shown at the end of one of the trailers. He's probably the biggest enemy we've seen in a Doom game, except for maybe the Icon of Sin. But he's almost for sure going to be a boss character, even though, like, low-key, I'm really actually hoping he's just like a regular enemy. I think that'd be so sweet if you're just, like, playing as the Doom Slayer, going around, like, hunting these giant kaiju. That'd be awesome. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want that? Also, we've got a lot of other weird enemies coming up. So here we have a White King in a chair. As you can see, he's standing behind one of the knights from the first game. He might just be a hologram. He might be an actual enemy. We have this guy, I call him the Horn King. He shows up on one of the posters, and also we have this cinematic of the Doom guy grabbing him by the neck. We got a hologram of a green wolf. We've got a hologram of a yellow dude. We've seen some concept art of him, and in the concept art he was surrounded by like a bunch of cultists. So I mean, it's possible that you're going to be fighting some cults in as well, kind of like in Blood. So these guys here are all from some like promotional material. Wheelhead, Coal Obsidian, Baldy, the Doom Hunter shows up again. This Angel dude, we've seen him in a lot of concept art and also in the new trailer. And also there's a big like Triceratops dog. So I have no clue. I have a theory that all of these characters that are standing in the middle are all going to be boss characters. And I think it's a possibility that Doom Eternal might have a boss fight at the end of each level. Because, I mean, if you count all of these characters, then also, say, like, the Cyber Demon and the Archvile, and who knows, even the Spider Mastermind might show up. I mean, that would be enough bosses to fill in every level in the game, probably. Again, just a theory. Just a theory. Okay, so these enemies here that I'm going to talk about, they haven't been officially shown in any like promotional material or anything, but I'm fairly confident that at least some of these are going to return. Starting off with the Spectre, just because the Spectre is the only monster from Doom 1 that we haven't seen yet. And I mean, come on, he's an invisible monster, so I can totally see why they wouldn't put him on promotional material. But also with the Cyber Demon returning, I mean, I think it's possible the Spider Mastermind could return. I already talked about that a little bit. Also, some of the zombie variants could return, such as like the engineer or like a commando or something. Also, the Icon of Sin, which made a cameo in Doom 2016, could also appear and be part of the actual plot. A couple monsters I wouldn't mind seeing returning would be maybe something like Mother Demon or the Bruiser from Doom 3. I both thought they were pretty cool enemies. But who do you think is going to return? Did I miss any characters? Just leave some comments in the description. What do you think about the new Doom game? Does it look good? I'm out of here. Make sure to pre-order that Doom Guy helmet.
What you interfere with now is bigger than you can imagine. If you continue, you will bring down the heavens' wrath. It is written.